we are going to be doing right now is giving you a demonstration of just firing and loading the weapon. What we have here is a small company of infantry. We are infantry. We go everywhere on our feet. And we are carrying a rifled musket. Most of the men have Springfields. We have a few Enfields. They are 58 caliber. They have an effective range of approximately 300 yards. That means if it hits you at 300 yards, it will knock you down. It can actually go farther than that, but its maximum effective range is 300 yards. So we're going to give a demonstration of loading and firing. The well-trained soldier can fire 3 shots a minute. Once every 20 seconds. What we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of volleys that we're going to do actually a couple of different ways of firing. Ray? Captain. Go ahead, yeah, break them down to 2 ranks. A company of infantry is formed 100 men, 50 men front, 2 men deep. The rear rank, you will notice, is not going to be just standing there waiting for the guy in front to go down. They are firing over the right shoulder of the man in front. These are called file partners. Now, one thing I will point out, there is no such thing as a left-handed soldier. If you are left-handed, you will learn to be right-handed. The reason being is this weapon is oriented to the right side. The hammer is on the right side. Your cartridge box is on the right side. Everything is done to the right. So basically, when you come over that shoulder, if you come over the left shoulder, your hammer is going to be almost right in his ear, and you don't want that. So what we're going to do, the captain is going to be giving the company command to basically show you how the company will operate in action.
You okay, honey?
Great.
Attention, company!
2 volleys, then fire by file, and then a couple rounds, and fire by file.
Firing by company! Ready!
Ready! Take a picture of them as they're firing.
Aim!
Watch out. Get ready. Okay, Mom.
Fire!
Now you notice, these weapons are designed as the muskets were previously during the 18th century. The only difference is they aren't flintlocks, they are caps, percussion caps. This makes them a lot easier to handle, a lot easier to fire. Now, their range, again, about 300 yards. But you notice, they're staying in ranks. They were fighting in the tactics of the 18th century. Because in the 18th century, a smoothbore musket had no range. You ever heard the expression, you can't hit the broadside of a barn? Well, if you took 100 men with smoothbore flintlock muskets, stood them 25 yards away from a barn, and had them fire at the same time, maybe 10 of those bullets would hit. With a rifled ball and this rifled musket, again, about 300 yards.
Hey! Fire!
Now there were several ways of firing. What they're doing right now is they're actually firing by company. The problem with firing by company is everybody expends their rounds. So you're going to fire by company when the enemy is at a good distance away. But what they would do if the enemy was closing and they wanted to keep up a steady rate of fire was fire by file.
Okay, we'll see.
And what happens when the command is given, at fire by file, once they have fired, it's kind of a ripple effect going down the line, but at the same time, they are given the command, once you hear fire by file, they fire, they automatically continue loading and firing.
Firing by files from the right. Commence firing.
Automatically, gentlemen, automatically. Ray, 2 rounds, and we'll have company volleys. Now what they're doing, they've just gotten the ripple effect right down the line on fire by file. Now what they will do, until the command is given to either hold fire or load, they will just continue to load and fire as fast as they can.
Load and hold.
Load and hold. No? Okay.
Load and hold.
Load and hold, gentlemen.
Firing by ranks. Rear rank. Ready.
This is firing by rank. One rank will fire.
Fire.
The other rank will remain loaded while that rear rank reloads. This is so that you can have at least some of your weapons loaded while the enemy is advancing on you. The rear rank will quickly load as fast as they can. At some point, the commander will give the command for the front rank to fire.
Front rank, ready! Aim! Fire!
And notice now the rear rank is ready to fire.
Rear rank, left, straight. Over, forward. Prepare to deploy as skirmishers.
Now what they're going to do
Animals.
is they're actually going to deploy. Skirmishers were the troops that were sent out in forward of a main body to find the enemy and determine how many of the enemy troops were out there. Now the unfortunate thing about skirmishers is we tend to call them modern times pop-up targets, because that's literally what they were. Their job was to go out there. We know the enemy is somewhere out there in the field. We're going to send these elements out there to literally draw them out. Now they'd probably send out skirmishers too, but at some point somebody's main body, we're going to know where they are. What you'll see is them advancing, and again they would advance in pairs, if you will. The same principle.
Hey! 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 Fire!
Three paces to the front, gentlemen. 3 paces. On line. 3 steps forward.
Ready! Hey! Fire! Choose, move forward.
Dress on the sergeant. 3 steps forward of the line.
Line up on me. Line up on my sword right here.
Now one thing you'll notice, sometimes they are not perfectly efficient. We have in the ranks what we call fresh fish. This means that they are new to the unit. Doesn't mean they're not good soldiers, but they don't necessarily know how to handle a weapon perfectly. But they'll learn. They'll learn very quickly. Sometimes on the battlefield. Captain, after this volley, reform company. Dress on the sergeant.
Hey! Form company, rally on the first sergeant.
I'll get Daddy over here.
Form company, rally on the sergeant.
Spartan by company, ready? Hey!
Right. One thing, just so that you notice, it's not exactly running perfectly smooth, and the reason for that is we're from actually about 3 or 4 different companies. We're not one unit of reenactors. We're working together, probably some of us for the first time. So what they're doing is okay, but it's not just going to run perfectly smooth all the time, because you got to get used to working with the guys and things like that. But what you're seeing is a company in operation.
Which is real life for back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We have one of those rifles, not right above the door.
Go ahead and clear your weapons.
That's what I'm doing.
What they're going to do now is clear the weapons for safety purposes.
Fire! Fire! On! One, right? Right? Hey! Five miles right! North!
All the way around? Like this?
Right on me, Sergeant. Everybody here. Italian! Hold!
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Mom.
Close it up. Get your interval, gentlemen. Get your interval.